And even when I became breathless, I could hear his footstep coming behind me. So I kept running and running and running. And while I was running, I said, God, if you get me out of this, I promise to serve you.
Welcome to the Oasis, a safe space, Holy Spirit-led intervention for healing and empowerment.
And the minute I opened the door fully to run, there was a skylight shining straight at me. And I said, no. And I took off. And I started running in some alleys. I didn't even know there were those places in the community. And I ran and I ran and I ran. And even when I became breathless, I could hear his footstep coming behind me. So I kept running and running and running. And while I was running, I said, God, if you get me out of this, I promise to serve you. Amen. And I kept running and running. So at one point, even dogs started to chase me too. And I kept running and running. And even when I got tired, I didn't give up. I started to run some more. And let me tell you, I kind of gave up too quickly because I thought I had run to safety. And because I was so tired and I ran out barefooted, so stones, whatever it was, my foot bottom, they were bruised and cuts and stuff. And I stopped to seek shelter at this wall. And just as I was about to doze off in sleep, in my nightgown, everything, because when I got up to run, I was still in my night clothes. And just as I was about to seek shelter, he came up and grabbed me. So it was like an ambush, and he came up and grabbed me. And just as I was about to scream out, try to take off again, he said, don't move. And when people say my life flashed before my face, my life flashed before my face. He said, I'm going to kill you tonight. I kill myself too. And I was like, please, more come back with it. And I guess at that point, he knew that I was only saying what he wanted to hear. Because he said, you really live in me? And I said, yes. But when I saw him pull the gun, I said, I'll kill you and kill myself. I started saying, all right, I'm going to come back to you, And he held the gun, pointed at my head. And before he could squeeze the trigger, I remember tensing myself because I'm like, God, well, this is it. I remember tensing myself, my body, and I'm like, I don't want to feel the pain. I don't know what a gunshot feel like, but I don't want to suffer and die. I don't want to suffer anymore. I just want one go and done. So when he held it at my head, I remember I just threw myself on the floor because in my mind, me get the shot. Yes. And when I looked up, I saw him standing over me with the gun. And I remember, in the dark, I remember seeing the hand motion. And the gun would not go off, Sister Althea. Hallelujah. And the Spirit again said to me, run. And when I made the first move, he grabbed at me and flinged me again. So I was so hurt. But the fight within me could hold on to that throwdown that I got. And I got up again. And I started running like never before, Sister Althea. And it wasn't until I started running, mark you, it was a straight road. No curves, no twists, no turns. And it wasn't until I started running for my life, the shot started to fire. But none of those shots caught me. I was running in a straight line. I was never slimmer than this much. But can you just imagine how fast I was going? It must be God carrying me also. And I was running and running, and he started firing at me, but none caught me. And I ran straight outside of the community into another community that to this day, I can't find that community. I went back to that place 2 times searching for that community, and I couldn't find it. I don't know where I ran to, but I know when it was like after 1 or 2 in the morning. And when I was running, I said, God, help me. And I was running. I got breathless and I was still running. And then I saw a light shining on a veranda. And there was this little girl on the outside playing in water, inside from a drum. And I ran and I held her and I said, call your mother, quick, call your mother. And when she went in, she come back out and said, Mommy said you must come. No, you would tell me. You in your house at like after 2 in the morning, your little girl on the outside. she come and say, Mom, somebody outside call you. You go and say, tell her to come. Well, I couldn't even stop to question all of that. I held her by the hand and go inside and close the door. And because I wasn't sure what I was going to expect from these persons, I sat on the ground, cuts and bruises, bleeding, trembling, in fear, terror, everything, fright. And I said to the little girl, call your mommy now. She said, Mommy's sleeping. And she wasn't lying because after a while I began to hear snoring coming from the room. But I still sat at the door because I was like, I don't know if they're going to run me out or what. So I sat at the door waiting for somebody to come till I don't even know when I fall asleep. But nobody came. It wasn't until the morning now, like after 5, I heard the room door open. And, I kind of fixed up myself because I don't know what to expect. And then a man came out and he said, is you come here last night? My wife soon come to you. That's all. So I was like, a mad people place me come. Him no question me nothing at all. All he said was, is you come here last night? My wife soon come to you. And I remember he was putting on his work shoes, some high boots like, and he had a shirt, he swung it over his shoulder and stepped over my foot, opened the door and gone. So I'm like, okay, maybe he's just a soft-hearted, kind man. So I'm like, I don't know what to expect from the wife. No. So I still seated on the floor with my knees up to my chest, trembling same way because I really want somebody to feel sorry for me too, When she got out, the lady looked as if she didn't see me. But I heard her shout to the kids and say, come on, get ready for school. So I'm like preparing myself now to answer to her. And she turned to me and she says, you come here last night? I say, yeah. That time in my mind, though I needed help in my mind, I said, no, sir, I'm mad people, them here. And she said, you come here last night? I said, yes. And she said, want me to? I said, my boyfriend want to kill me. And she said, hush, my love, him not gonna do nothing. Hush here. And she was even handing me a cup of tea. She said, you want something to drink? While handing me the tea. But I said, I thank her so much. And I said, that's okay. But thank you for letting me stay here. She said, okay, my love. They didn't question me. They didn't reject me. Nothing. And I found my way back to my friend's house in the morning. And she said, Garcia, you just come here and look for you again, So, I didn't have much time to just grab what I could grab and run away again to another long-lost friend. And that was it. That was it. That was it. That was it. She helped me to get the counseling I needed because before I used to seek counseling, but it was so hard for me to face the truth that I had stopped. But this friend, she helps me to be where I am today. I realized that no amount of disappointment and embarrassment is worth me sitting in my present shame, so I had to seek the counseling, and this is all I overcome.
Oh my God. But you, that's just as inspiring and breathtaking to hear that story.
Yes.
I must encourage my sister because for you to have gone through so much, who could it be?
Who could it be? What's God?
But God.
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 What God?
We want to talk to, I know you have written a book about all that has happened. And I know, talk to us a little about about the book and about the impact you expect the book to have
Yes.
on us as women as we read the book. And, talk about abuse and doing that. Oh my, this thing will kill us if we don't attack it.
Yes.
It's lay down and play it. Talk to us about it.
Sure. It took me a while to write this book because every time that I try to pen my words on paper, some form of hurt would resurface that I never dealt with. And so I used to just pause. And pause meaning even 2-3 years, I wouldn't look back on that. And so it is really important to seek counseling and do your follow-ups and to forgive. Because after escaping this man's wrath, I hated him so much. I hated him to a point where I listened out every day to hear that something happened to him. Yes, I hated him. And the worst part, Well, it's no longer a worst part because I love my son to death, but it wasn't, it was after the final runaway, the final escape, I realized that I was pregnant. And that's another story in itself. But imagine looking at a child you want to love, but it reminds you so much of how of how the conception even started. And so I struggle with that so much. So that is why we'll be going through it to let you know that it doesn't matter what happened as long as you put up your fight with God. Then you can supersede whatever it is that the devil has set out for you. Once you know who you are in God, you're going to be the enemy's threat. So I just want any young woman out there, any single mothers, to know that there's hope. It's gonna be hard, and it will even seem tough and harder if you don't have anyone to talk to. If you feel as if you're so caved in and you can't speak, if you feel as if your situation is too embarrassing to speak about, that's a lie. That's a lie. There is hope.
Oh, and the interesting thing she mentioned was single mom or young mother, young ladies. But abuse, Sister Garcia, goes across
Yes.
all ethnic groups, all socioeconomic class. It is not confined to only single
Right.
confined to persons within the church, persons of married couples. And therefore I want to encourage you that it is not a shame to talk about abuse. It is perfectly okay. It is not your fault. Remember, we always say, abuse is not your fault. Don't take responsibility for somebody who had a bad past and come to want to take it out on you.
Right.
It's not your fault, and therefore do not second believing that you must carry this load and guilt of somebody's past and anger and bitterness and pain. We encourage you to talk about it and allow yourself to be healed, because it's all like you, the person, turn impart positivity to somebody.
Right.
If you're hurting people,
Hurts people.
so maybe sit my sister, what?
Hurting people hurt people.
Hurting people hurt people. So I want to encourage you, do not allow somebody to put you in this box while they are hurting and transferring their hurt.
Right.
So man, have a wonderful day. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, Sister Garcia, for just
You're welcome.
I just talking. I know we should talk about the story before.
Yeah.
It's just like to know that you are sharing in a context where persons are known, knowing that, listen, it is no shame to talk about your
Right.
all right.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming, and thank you for listening. Thank you for watching.